Okay, we'll move on now. Up next, New Day basically just kind of cuts a promo on how shit Atlanta is as a town. I was clenching the entire time we were watching this because I was waiting for them to point out something bad about the Falcons, but luckily they didn't.
Because they probably love the Falcons deep down inside, as they should.
Yeah. Either that
But
or they're
yeah,
just afraid Ludacris is going to get on their case if they go after the Falcons. Or Samuel L. Jackson.
but no, I
Two
continue.
two people who I know for a fact are Falcons fans, so there you go.
That's huge. That's awesome. Um, but yeah, I continue to love the New Day, dude. I'm telling you, if you just give these guys the time of day, I know some people
They're
again,
getting the time of day.
and that's just it. Like that they keep getting the time of day. And I was getting ready to say, I think I kind of mentioned this last week. I know some people are kind of grumbling because they felt like New Day kind of lost their steam, this and the other. I don't feel that way. I still feel like they're one of the best acts going, even with everything going on around them, and that includes Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and now these NXT women finally showing up. And New Day still somehow manages to maintain this connection with me, and it's a strong one at that. So all the credit in the world to them. And, they have six-man tag action after their promo with the primetime players and Mark Henry, who's playing babyface this week. Um, and not really much to say here, dude. I mean, once again, New Day kind of falls to the primetime players. On TV, it seems like anytime the primetime players and the New Day interact, primetime players get the upper hand. Could it be a sign that maybe the tides will turn when it matters most at Battleground? I don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, at the end, they win. They do the millions of dollars dance with Mark Henry.
Yep.
And we'll just see if the New Day can recover from this or not.
Well, I'm sure they can. But up next was, I kind of pointed it out earlier as a bit of a lull segment. King Barrett versus, I guess since he didn't have his King get up, he was just calling himself R-Truth going into this match.
Again, not really anything to complain about or really even say. I mean, the match was pretty quick. R-Truth, to close the matchup, he gets Barrett in like a hurricane run, like a head scissors kind of position because Barrett's holding him against the ropes. Truth whips Barrett's head into the turnbuckle, and that makes Truth able to connect with, I think they're calling it now the lie detector. I know it used to be the what's up, but I think it's the lie detector now. And he pins Barrett, so he gets the win. And then, he gets all of his kingly garb after the matchup, which is the paper crown, the plunger, and everything else. And we might as well say, since this is the most appropriate segment to do it, that it was announced for the Battleground kickoff show that they are going to have Barrett versus Truth. Winner gets to, keep the crown and I guess be recognized as the official king. I think this is the dumbest idea ever. I don't even know why they're having yet another matchup. When you look at the scoreboard, yes, Barrett got a victory recently, but Truth is still far and away ahead, and it's ridiculous. But if this is the end of the feud, I'll take it. I just want to be done with these guys.
Yeah. I'm just glad that they're finally putting an end to it.
Definitely.
All right, up next we had, let's see, was it John Cena? Oh, we got a little bit of a recap from the Rusev Ziggler segment from last week, so we should have known what was about to happen. John Cena's music hits, and when he gets in the ring, we just get a commercial, and we go to a commercial, but then when we get back, we didn't get any kind of promo. Maybe he cut the promo while we were at commercial. He just kind of motions for whoever his opponent is to get in the ring, and like he's throwing down the gauntlet, and then Rusev's music hits. So again, transitioning from the Rusev Ziggler recap from last week immediately into Rusev answering John Cena's open challenge, I think was a really smart thing to do, and it kind of kept Rusev fresh in your mind right before he came out.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And I love the promo from Rusev, too, that kind of interweaves the two things going on here, because he says, look, I was the most dominant U.S. champion ever. And I only lost that title to you because, keep in mind, guys, I mean, I know Cena's been doing like a lot of defenses, but before him, Rusev was the champion. And I only lost that belt because of Lana, which, again, has some truth to it. Because if you remember at WrestleMania, she got on the apron. Rusev was pushed into Lana, which allowed Cena to get the AA for the win. And he says, now I'm pretty much going to take it back more or less. But then Kevin Owens interrupts. And he reiterates yet again, like, hey, I've been saying the only one that's going to take that championship from you is me. So here's what's going to happen. Tonight, I'm going to get my title match. I'm going to beat you. And then Battleground can be considered your rematch for the United States Championship. But then
Yep.
I love how Rusev just reacts to Kevin Owens' presence here. What'd you think of it, Ashton? Because I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was hilarious too, and that's the word that I never thought I'd be using with Rusev, because he legitimately got a chuckle out of me tonight. Um, he made fun of Kevin Owens, not for being fat or for, being a super dick or being super obsessed with John Cena's title or anything like that. No, he made fun of Kevin Owens for having two first names.
Which I think is original. I'm
Yeah.
glad he at least thought outside the box a little bit. He made fun of him for having two first names.
Kevin Owens, make up your mind.
And he made fun of him for being like American, Canadian, whatever you are.
Yeah, he didn't even say Canadian. He said French. He said
French, French.
You French, American, whatever you want to be. I don't care.
I loved it.
Good. Yeah, it was really, really cool. But then, here's the little caveat. Cesaro.
The freaking machine, beast, mammoth, any kind of connotation you want to give. Yeah.
Swiss Superman.
Swiss Superman, baby. Any kind of connotation you want to give that man to kind of encapsulate his dominance fits. He comes out. He makes a beeline for Cena. Doesn't even pay any mind to the other guys, which I love, by the way. I think that's a nice touch.
Yeah, that was great.
I think it's just like Cesaro's just leaning at the other, like, I could take both of you. Which, we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
Stares down Cena. And then Kevin Owens, like... It's great. I loved what Owens did, but I couldn't help but laugh because he's like that fiercely, like, clingy either girlfriend or friend or whatever. Because he's like, hey, it's mine. You hear me? He's mine. And like, they just all devolve into fists and they're fighting each other. But then Cesaro gets the better of both Rusev and Owens, sending them both out to the floor. And he's like staring down Cena, and we cut to commercial, and me and Ash are kind of speculating, well, what's it going to be? Is it going to be a triple threat?
Yeah, John, you even suggested that maybe since Cesaro is kind of leaning a little bit more in the face direction, that they would have a tag match, Cesaro and Cena versus Owens and Rusev. But as much as I like that idea, I think I like what they actually did a little bit more.
Oh, I think everybody and their mother likes what they actually did a little bit more, because we got a triple threat match where the winner was going to face John Cena immediately after. So this does a few things. One, we've got a match to actually determine a contender, which I think helps with the prestige of the championship, because now it's for one night. Not that anybody can walk in the door, but you got to fight and claw for a shot. And B, it makes the person who wins the match incredibly sympathetic, because they've gone through a war, and at the same time, simultaneously, Cena look like kind of a dick, even though he's supposed to be this upstanding guy, because he's fresh. He is entirely fresh. But, very, very intriguing elements at play here. And, dude, where do we even start with this triple threat? You are a really rigorous note taker. What notes did you take for this match? I want to pass the ball to you first so we can kind of set a tone.
Okay, well, the first note that I had was that Cesaro actually landed a corkscrew crossbody.
Right.
That was retarded. Alabama slam from Rusev to Owens. Again, retarded levels of strength. Cesaro hit another one of those beautiful springboard rotating European uppercuts, which I think to the shock and awe of everybody. But at one point, Kevin Owens just decided that he was done with this match and that he was going to wait until Sunday for Cena and the U.S. title. So Rusev went to at a certain point, Rusev went to the top rope, and this was all just ridiculous amounts of counters and back and forth and everything. Rusev went to the top rope, and Cesaro tried to cut him off, but Rusev managed to power out and throw Cesaro off, and went for a headbutt. Cesaro dodged and immediately locked in a crossface, which is amazing. Just a great transition, so smooth. Rusev managed to power out of the crossface and turned it into a swing bottom. He went for an accolade, which Cesaro reversed. Cesaro reversed by actually hitting him with a bunch of headbutts, and then into a swing, and then a sharpshooter. Rusev got out of the sharpshooter by dragging himself off the ring apron and kind of separating himself from Cesaro using the ropes. But then Cesaro hit him with a friggin' suicide dive. Cesaro was doing everything in this match, and then followed up the suicide dive with another European to Rusev up and against the barricade. They got in the ring, and Cesaro went to the top rope, but then Rusev knocked him off, got him into a fireman's carry, and slammed him down onto his back, all in one smooth, fluid motion, and then nailed a super kick to the freaking heart for the win.
Now, let me just say this, and this may come as a surprise to some people. for a multitude of reasons. I have got to give all the credit in the world to Rusev, because while Cesaro was a freaking beast, to me, it's just another day at the office for him. I don't know if people thought that Rusev had it in him to put on the kind of performance that he did. Like, this was his match to kind of really reestablish him, to use your word, Ashton, because we're kind of talking about it while everything was kind of unfolding. He did exceptional here. Like, I think you actually had my favorite line in the whole thing, because you said he's hanging in there with two ROH guys, and ROH is known to have performers with that work rate of just being able to, go the distance, bell to bell, and just do all this crazy stuff. And Rusev was keeping pace. To me, like, I don't treat Cesaro's performance with any kind of indifference. I freaking loved it, and it feels so good to be feeding and nurturing the Cesaro mark inside me again these past few weeks. But we got to give big ups for Rusev here, because, my God, what a performance from that man.
Yeah, Rusev held his own in this match without any doubts.
And he won. Like, that just, I think it really surprised me. And here's the thing, too, we might as well get it out of the way now. No Ziggler and no Lana tonight. So, like,
Thank
it
goodness.
was all on Rusev. Yeah, really.
Yeah, because that was, I'm so glad that they're giving that freaking whole thing time to breathe, because it needs it more than anything.
And then we immediately, like, Cena immediately gets in the ring. He's like all fresh. Rusev can like barely, he has to use the ropes to support and pick himself up in the corner. And this match I felt like was really good in its own way, because every bit of offense Cena nailed, which he seemed like he was really picking apart Rusev easily. Rusev struggled. Perfect example, perfect imagery of this. Cena shoulder blocks. Usually people pop right back up after the shoulder blocks, so they can eat all the offense in succession. Rusev struggled after each shoulder block just to get up, and Cena was just kind of stalking and really calculating Rusev so he could keep hitting the offense. But the great moment is when he's measuring Rusev for the AA, Rusev is able to slide out and immediately go into the accolade. And then Cena, though, with his test of strength, he starts picking Rusev up and himself up, and he rams Rusev into the corner. But Rusev doesn't relent the hold. In fact, he gets it locked in my mind, even deeper after a few seconds. So let me get this straight. Rusev is so dominant, he could go to war in a triple threat with Cesaro and Kevin freaking Owens. Win when one of the guys bails in Owens and, pins Cesaro, who is no slouch in his own right, especially given the events of last week.
Yeah.
And then be within, after all that, and that triple threat felt like it went on a while. I don't know, you didn't get a timestamp, you said, right? Because you only did the timestamp for the opening segment.
I know it was close to a half hour.
Yeah, it was a long match. So after that, is actually able to take the fight to John Cena and almost win. If I didn't know any better, and this is a point you originally raised, Ashton, you'd really think they were trying to do a double turn with his match with Ziggler at Battleground, which I don't think is happening for the record, but man, did they give Rusev all the sympathy in the world. In fact, in my mind, this is kind of where the crowd comes out to be kind of a heel, because when he had the accolade in on Cena, they started a USA chant. So this guy's given this Herculean effort to beat John Cena, and simply because he's a foreigner who has disparaged another country, always seemingly on legitimate grounds from where I sit, he's still the heel. I don't know if that's really good for Rusev or WTF for the crowd, but I'll take it. And just really an intriguing matchup. I mean, I want to know your thoughts on it, Ash, and more specifically, what I'd like to hear from you is just the whole presentation of Rusev tonight. I mean, what did you think?
I'm really interested in it, and I truly just want to know where they're going with him, because my biggest question is, where are Rusev and Dolph Ziggler going to end up when their program is over with?
Right. Because is Dolph
Ziggler feels like a heel right now. Ziggler feels like a heel and Rusev feels like a face, and everything about the way that they're getting booked re-emphasizes those feelings. Because you have Dolph Ziggler acting like a dick, stealing Rusev's girlfriend, and then flaunting her like a trophy. And then you have Rusev trying to sort of replace Lana with someone that has, I won't say a similar appearance, but at least similar color hair, I guess. And
Right.
it doesn't really make him seem like a dick. It just kind of makes him seem like like poor guy, you know?
And just the fight back he had with Cena.
Yeah.
You know what's so like I'll say it here and now. What that triple threat did, and then just the way he sold the fatigue and came back in the match with Cena. I know we had said in the early days of Rusev, on the main roster and everything, like, oh, this is the type of gimmick that, it starts out really hot. I think these were your assertions primarily. Starts out really
Yeah.
hot, but then it kind of fizzles out. I'm not so sure about that anymore after
Yeah.
tonight.
Yep.
Because after tonight, I'm like, you know what? I'm not saying this is a guy that, like, stays on top for 10, 20 years, but I'm thinking anytime you want to put Rusev in the main event, I could believe it after that triple threat. And I could believe it after the rallying that he had against Cena in this match.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, let's get to the finish. It's thrown out. And Rusev, by all rights, wins by DQ because Kevin Owens kicks him in the head and he hits a pop-up powerbomb on him, which is great imagery again. A lot of great imagery on this Raw tonight, with people interacting with each other and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then he goes over to Cena, said, "I told you it was gonna be me," and like, oh, he's just lost it, man. I love it. Like, he's so angry. But man, like, he is obsessed with being the one that would be able to say, I beat John Cena for the U.S. Championship. That's the one really consistent trait of Owens that I love. Like, it's egomaniacal because he wanted to take credit for Sami Zayn's injury when John Cena felt remorseful about hurting him. He wanted to brag about, before that, winning the NXT Championship within 2 months of his debut.
Yeah.
This guy wants everything to revolve around him. And, like, again, we had said on one NXT, when Samoa Joe was in a match and Kevin Owens was on commentary, every time they praised Samoa Joe, it was always with Owens, well, I can do that too,
Yeah.
Well, I can do that too, right?
He has such an inferiority complex.
That's the term you used, yes, and that's really playing out here because he's like losing his shit when it seems like somebody else is capable of being John Cena that's not him.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that dynamic. This was such a great segment, and the segment preceding it, obviously, well, the match preceding it, I mean, just stellar. What a Raw tonight, and this just really embodied it. That and the NXT women, just fantastic.
Absolutely, this was great. This whole segment from Cena coming out, not cutting any kind of a promo, and then all of a sudden Rusev, Owens, and Cesaro, well, specifically Rusev and Owens get promo time, but all three of them get separate entrances where they get to come out and kind of, you can gauge the crowd reaction to them, was great. This triple threat match was excellent. The entire psychological game that went on between Cena and Rusev in their match was great. And then Kevin Owens coming back at the end and getting all his heat back was amazing. It was a perfectly booked 3 or 4 segments all in one.
Right. Yeah, right down to not even letting Cesaro talk. Because, again, I love that he was more facial, like bodily language. I think we need to do more of that with Cesaro personally. Because I don't think he's horrendous on the mic by any means, but he's definitely uncomfortable and awkward. And until he can work on that privately and kind of off screen, I would maybe kind of make him more the body language type, just exert his dominance, his will on everybody and let him get over that way. Because it's been working so far.
Because he can talk and he does have a personality, but his English isn't... you know what? His English is perfect, but he has that accent that kind of makes it somewhat difficult to understand sometimes. Right. So even though he does have a personality, I think that it's definitely best that they let him use that the facial expressions and the body language to convey his messages, and obviously the in-ring work, which is just exceptional.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, I can't tell you. I mean, you know what a big Cesaro fan I am. I can't tell you how much fun I'm having right now.
Can we just talk about the fact that Kevin Owens was trying to give a German suplex to Rusev, and then Cesaro came in and gave them both one?
With such ease. Oh my god, dude. I'm telling you, man. I don't even care that Cesaro... Because I don't really feel like Cesaro's any worse for wear for losing this match. I'll say that right now.
Oh, no, absolutely not. That's the thing. Cesaro is so freaking good at what he does. He's one of, if not the only guy on the roster that can eat 3 losses in consecutive weeks while simultaneously putting on match of the night, match of the year almost contenders in each of those matches and staying just as strong for no lesser wear.
Because I'll tell you what, after I saw him German suplex both Kevin Owens and Rusev, I just said to myself, Cesaro versus Lesnar needs to happen now. Just like that. I'm like, I know I want it now. Like, shut up and take my money. Take my $9.99 for that month.
Dude, we've been begging for that since last WrestleMania. Not even WrestleMania 31, just WrestleMania 30. We've been begging for Cesaro Lesnar.
Yeah, Cesaro, Lesnar, and Orton Lesnar, the two really big Lesnar matches I want. And let me tell you something, Ryback versus Lesnar's kind of inching up there too with Ryback's work.
And you know what? I'm going to even toss Sheamus Lesnar in there, which I think is something that we are actually going to get this year because of the Money in the Bank. If not this year, then definitely in the first half of next year.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't think people are giving potential Sheamus versus Lesnar matchup enough credit because I know people have kind of rallied against that as well.
Well, and it's not necessarily that people have rallied against the idea of that match. It's just that they've rallied against Sheamus as an entity.
Dude, we are such a minority with Sheamus, but I love it all the
I
same.
love it too.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious because, like, I feel like we're just kind of sitting back in lounge chairs watching as everyone tries to burn the Sheamus city to the ground.
And yet he's still got that briefcase, baby. But yeah, anything else you want to say about the whole Rusev, Cena, Owens debacle that kind of finished this out?
No, the last thing I really wanted to point out was the whole Cesaro double German suplex thing. I just thought that was awesome. But now we can move on